All right, guys, we're on the home stretch here. Just a few more videos for you guys to force yourself to watch. 5.1, if you're taking business classes, you probably know more about it than I do, but here's the way I understand it. Um, if you graph the price up here and the demand down here, this is backwards from the way I'm comfortable with it because I'm a consumer instead of a producer. But if the price is high up here, then demand is relatively low. But if the price is low, demand will be high. So you get this curve that looks like this. This is called the demand curve. D of, we'll say D of X because demand is X, price is P. The demand curve here is based on, well, it's backwards to me, like I already said, but there is a particular price that's being charged. We're going to call that P bar, and that is related to a particular demand down here, X bar. Now, if you are the consumer like me, and you're one of these people that are willing to pay the higher price, but you go into the store and you see that the price is set down here, even though you were willing, say I went to the store with $30 expecting to pay $30, and when I got there it was only $20, I feel like I'm walking out the door having gained $10. Now, my husband will tell you that that's not true, that I didn't get $10. And remember that the consumer surplus and the producer surplus is about feeling and not actual hard numbers. But it's very, if you're going to be in finance or any kind of economics or in the market at all, you're going to have to understand that a lot of it is about feeling. And if you're one of those people that was willing to pay this higher price, then you walk out the door having paid less, then all of this right here, all of this yellow, you feel like you're walking out with that in your pocket when you were willing to have paid it. So that area right there is called the consumer surplus. Consumers surplus. And when you're in your business class, you'll have a way to find this. But in a calculus class, you can see that this is just the area between the demand curve right here and the P bar line, which is just Y equals P bar, right? So you're finding the area between two curves. And how do we do that with calculus? It's the area or the integral from 0 to x bar, because that's your limits on your x-axis. And the top curve is the demand function, and the bottom curve is P bar. When you're finding the area between two curves, you always do top minus bottom. And that's very simple, and that's consumer surplus. And sometimes you'll see it written as if this integral was split in two and you're integrating this bit. Well, P bar is just a number. When you integrate that with respect to x here, you're going to get P bar x from 0 to x bar. So when you evaluate that, you're going to get consumer surplus is the integral from here to there of the demand function minus P bar x bar, which is just a number. And it's fine if you want to do it that way. I think your book uses different notation, but understanding what it is more important right now to see that it's just the area between these two curves, between the demand curve and the P bar curve from 0 to x bar. Now, if you look at things from the producer's point of view, if this again is the price, and this is the demand, or the number of units, we'll say, you're the producer, you've made all these things. If the price is low down here, then you're not going to want to put a lot of product on the market. So you're going to only put a few units. As the price goes up, you want your demand to be up. So if you draw that relationship, you're going to get a curve that looks more like this. And this is called the producer, the supply curve. It's the number of units that the producer is willing to supply to the market based on the price. But again, the price has been set here at P bar, and that corresponds to some particular demand, X bar. And if you're the producer and you're willing for this number of units to be sold at this lower price, but you actually get this higher price for it, then you kind of feel like this is extra money in your pocket, right? It's not really there, but you did make that money, but you feel like you know what I mean? It feels good to have a surplus. So what you have to do is recognize that that surplus is the area between this curve and this curve. And we know how to find area between curves. It's the integral from the beginning to the end of the top minus the bottom. And that is the producer's surplus. And just the area between the two curves. And like last time, if you split these integrals into two pieces, here you're just integrating P bar with respect to X, and you're going to get P bar X evaluated from 0 to X bar, which is just going to be P bar X bar. And so you may see this written as P bar times X bar minus the integral of the S of X dx. Same thing, but I want you to recognize that the producer surplus is just the area between two curves, and you know how to find that. Okay, what's the big deal about all this stuff, and where do these numbers come from? Well, if you look at the demand function and the supply function on the same graph, they cross at this perfect place. That's the equilibrium point, and that is the point X bar, P bar. So what you're going to need to do is to find X bar. How do you do that? The supply curve equals the demand curve. Solve for X. Then you're going to take P bar and plug it into either one. Take X bar, plug it into either one, and get P bar. So what you found in the original, it should be the same for both. And that's how you find P bar. Then 3, you're going to use the X bar and the P bar to find the consumer surplus and find the producer's surplus. Okay, let's try one. Let's say that we have a demand function that is X minus 8 quantity squared, and a supply curve that is X squared. So step number 1 is to find x bar. So we're going to take this equals this, and maybe we could take the square root of both sides. We know x has to be positive because we don't have customers bringing product back to us. So that's I don't want to do it that way. I'm going to FOIL this out. Minus 16x plus 64. Subtract x squared from both sides. And we get 64 equals 16x and 4 equals x bar. 4 units is our equilibrium demand. Next step is I'm going to plug my equilibrium value into one of my functions, and then I'm going to plug it into the other to check it. Whoops. And I'm going to get 4 minus 8 squared is negative 4 squared and 16. So P bar equals 16. Now, step 3, consumer surplus is the integral from 0 to x bar, which is 4. And we're going to have the demand function minus the P bar dx. Squaring this out here, we get x squared minus 16x plus 64 minus 16 dx. This is the integral of x squared minus 16x. 64 minus 16 gives me plus 48. Integrate. Hold on, let me get some more room here. Integrate using the power rule and evaluate from 0 to 4. We're going to get 64 over 3 minus 8 times 16 plus 48 times 4. 196 minus 128 gives me positive 64. This is going to give me 128 over 3. And this is money. So 42 2/3 dollars and cents. And there's my consumer surplus. Producer surplus, the integral from 0 to 4 of P bar minus the supply curve. This is going to give me 16x minus x cubed over 3 from 0 to 4. This is 64 minus 64/3, and I get 42.67. I made a mistake.